Whistle While We Work by Barrie Mahoney. I am often asked which of the 8 inhabited Canary Islands I like best of all. I can never answer this question because each island is different and beautiful in its own unique way. I try to make a point of visiting each of the islands over the year. I love them all. Each have their own unique character, culture and traditions. Now let me give you just one example. One of the smallest Canary Islands is La Gomera, which is currently much favoured by the previous German Chancellor, Angela Merkel. No doubt she, like so many others, relished the peace and tranquillity of this island paradise. One of the elements of La Gomera is that it retains its own unique language, a whistled language called Silbo Gomero, which means the Gomera Whistle. Silbo Gomero is not a pointless academic exercise that the teaching of Latin is often accused of, but a true form of communication that is often used today. I recall hearing it in practical use during one of my many visits to the island. My hotel was next to a construction site, and builders were using this whistled form of communication to request additional materials, help, and to give directions during the construction of a property. Its piercing shrill was unlike anything I'd ever heard before, and I was impressed with the ease and fluency with which it was used. La Gomera's ancient whistling language was used by farmers and shepherds to communicate across La Gomera's many large ravines. It's a language that consists of just 2 vowels and 4 consonants, yet the whistler is able to articulate words and phrases in Spanish or any other language. Many believe that the language was first used by the Guanche inhabitants well before the conquest of the islands by Spain in the 15th century. Linguists regard the language with considerable interest, and some experts claim that it should be taught in general linguistic courses because it demonstrates practically how a natural language is formed and organised. Although Silbo Gomero now has the status of being a UNESCO recognised form of communication, it was seriously in danger of dying out completely in the 1990s simply because children at school were told not to use the language because it made them sound like peasants. In 1999, it began to be taught in schools once again in an effort to revitalise the language. This approach has been very successful, and the regional government is now considering offering courses on the language that will be taught by qualified teachers across all the islands. Since its introduction into the education system 20 years ago, the status of the language has greatly improved. In La Gomera, it is currently taught for 30 minutes each week in primary schools, as well as the first 2 years of middle schools. The possibility of courses in the language being extended across all the Canary Islands is currently being considered. Whatever the decision, it's important to maintain and extend the use of understanding of Silbo Gomero for cultural as well as for linguistic reasons. But as with any language, the approach should be to learn to love the language and not to simply impose it. You have been listening to Whistle While We Work by Barrie Mahoney. If you'd like to find out more about myself and my books, please go to my website www.barriemahoney.com, and thank you for listening.